As Christian women, we often look to our faith for guidance on what it means to be godly women. But what does biblical femininity really look like? What does it mean to live in the image of Christ while embracing the unique gifts we've been given as women? Today, I want to explore this not from a place of perfection, but as someone walking the same journey.
Hey there! So today is Tuesday and we just got back from a postpartum support group at a local library. So basically what this is a local doula has it once a month and we all go and bring our kiddos and we talk and have coffee or have snacks and the kids just play together for about an hour or so. So we just got home from that. Yesterday I went grocery shopping and I picked up some just basic essentials, but I also got some fun stuff for an upcoming Christmas tea party that I'm going to have with some friends. So I got some festive portable coffee cups. So I was thinking people could either put tea or hot chocolate in them. So I got the striped pink ones and I got these gingerbread ones from Walmart for $1. And then I got some cute plates as well. So I got these right here, these gingerbread ones. And then I got some of these that just say Merry Christmas with the pink and the Christmas tree. I think they're cute and they're kind of girly looking. So I think they're perfect for a tea party. And then I was feeling extra ambitious and I think I'm going to try to sew everybody one of these coffee sleeves that you put around your coffee if it's hot, or if it's cold too. It's supposed to help so that your fingers don't get cold. So yeah, we'll see how that goes and if that's not too ambitious of me. But I've been busy trying to plan for the Christmas tea party as well as fasting this year. So every year I have to admit I get a little bit intimidated by fasting. We go for long periods of time where we only have to fast on Wednesdays and Fridays, but since Nativity or Christmas is coming up, we fast for I think about 40 days before we celebrate the birth of Christ. So that being said, we can eat fish on certain days and have wine and olive oil on certain days. And we follow a calendar that kind of tells us which days are more of a stricter fast and which days are a looser fast. So a looser fast being we could have fish. We don't do any dairy or meat, at least my husband doesn't. I will probably do some dairy and some meat for extra protein because I am still nursing a baby and recovering from postpartum. So that's what I'll do. And of course the children aren't really required to fast at this age. So they'll have milk and meat and all that stuff as well. I like to follow the fast as much as I can, especially since my husband can't have any meat or dairy himself. So what that generally looks like is I'll buy shrimp, tofu, beans, some sort of protein that I know he likes to eat. We used to do more of the fake meat stuff when we were first married, but we just decided to cut that out because the fake meat is more expensive and it just doesn't taste very good and it's not super good for you either. So what we do is, like I said, tofu, shrimp, beans, something like that. And then from there, once I have kind of the base, so the protein, I decide what we can have with it. So I have a couple different recipes for sauces, like a nutritional yeast sauce, or there's this really good peanut butter soy sauce that I like to use, especially with stir fries. So I do that sometimes. Also, bean and shrimp burritos are another thing that we eat. We do some Lenten pierogies that I pick up from the grocery store sometimes. We eat a lot of starches, so potatoes and rice and bread, stuff like that that kind of holds you over and is filling. along with the protein works really well. And then of course you can have different sides. So steamed broccoli, corn, peas, anything like that. You can have salads. There's also vegan mayo, stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff that you can use and substitute in. So it doesn't have to be that difficult. And I always have to remind myself of that because I'm always, like I said, taken off guard every single year. But this year I'm really trying to plan what stuff I'm going to buy and what snacks I'm gonna have on hand, all that sort of stuff, just so that I'm more prepared. Some of the snacks that we like to eat and I liked to eat when I wasn't pregnant or nursing were peanut butter and crackers or peanut butter and apples. Peanut butter and banana sandwiches are also another really good one. You could have chips and hummus. You could do celery and hummus. There's really a lot of different stuff you could do with nut butters or hummus. I kind of made a list of different snacks and I have it in my purse, but you could do a vegan yogurt and berries and honey. That's really good with some granola. That also makes a really good breakfast as well. One of the resources that I really like is Fasting as a Family. So I have that cookbook, and actually let me just go grab it to show you guys. Anyway, so here's the book, Fasting as a Family. It's written by, oh goodness, Melissa Nasco, I think is how you say her last name. She is the wife of a priest, I believe, and there's all sorts of recipes in here as well as how to meal plan when you're fasting. So anyway, it's a really good resource to have. It's published by Ancient Faith. I believe I ordered mine off of Amazon. So yeah, it's a good book to have if you don't know where to start. Also, Pinterest is really good as well if you just type in vegan or dairy-free, meat-free recipes. There's all kinds of stuff on there, which is really helpful too. And yeah, I just try to really keep it simple and not think too much into it. It's a time of reflection and spiritual growth. And so I try to keep things as simple as possible. But I thought I'd just kind of share some of the stuff that we eat and what we do about it. And I'm sure I'll do more in-depth videos of me actually cooking the foods and preparing them, especially when it is the start of the nativity fast and we're kind of in the thick of it. Right now, we're not quite there yet. We have a few more weeks of just regular eating whatever, except for Wednesdays and Fridays.
The truth is, any understanding of womanhood is incomplete without looking to the Theotokos, the Mother of God. In her, we see the ultimate example of a life given completely to God, pure, humble, and full of strength. Her response to God's calling was an act of courage, a yes that changed everything, showing us that true femininity is grounded in humility and unwavering faith. Her life teaches us that motherhood and service are paths to holiness, not burdens to be shouldered alone. Without recognizing her role, her sacrifices, her prayers, and her intercessions, we lose a foundational part of what it means to be a Christian woman. Biblical femininity is woven from virtues like humility, patience, compassion, and strength. It's not defined by a single action, but is instead a pattern we see across the lives of so many women in Scripture and, of course, the saints. As mothers and homemakers, we embody these qualities when we nurture, when we serve, and when we stay steadfast in faith, even in challenging times. It's in the small, everyday tasks that we have the chance to grow closer to God and reflect His love to those around us. In fact, my patron saint, Saint Lydia, offers another beautiful example of what it means to live out our faith. She is known for her generosity and hospitality, opening her home to the Apostle Paul and his companions. Lydia's heart for service wasn't only about physical hospitality, it was a spiritual hospitality, making space in her life for others and especially for God. Hospitality, like Lydia's, is a practice of inviting others in and creating an environment of peace and love. I'm reminded that every meal, every act of service in my home can become a way of honoring God and following her example. As we look to these role models, the Theotokos remains at the center. She lived a life of complete surrender to God's will and constant intercession for others. When we respect and recognize her role, we're reminded of the holiness of our own vocations as mothers, wives, and daughters of God. Through the prayers of the Theotokos, we receive strength to fulfill our own callings with grace. She shows us that femininity, when aligned with God's will, is a powerful, nurturing force. Of course, I want to make it very clear that if you're not familiar with the Orthodox faith, that we do not put the Theotokos, the Mother of God, above Christ, but we do have a lot of respect and reverence for her, and we do believe that she is a powerful intercessor for us, especially us women and mothers. The saints remind us that it's not the grand gestures, but the quiet, faithful work that shapes our souls. Whether it's wiping down a counter, comforting a child, or preparing a meal, these small, often unseen acts are ways we can imitate the Theotokos in her quiet, steady devotion. It's important to remember that as mothers and homemakers, we're called to be the calm in the chaos, the ones who bring peace to our homes. But this doesn't mean that we aren't strong. True strength is shown when we respond with patience instead of frustration, or when we persist in love even on the hardest days. So remember, when we live out these virtues, we don't just transform our homes, we reflect Christ to everyone around us. And like Lydia's hospitality extended to the apostles, our kindness and service can impact those beyond our immediate family, which I think is really beautiful.
Hi, so it is Wednesday evening and everybody is in bed except for me. I am about to start cleaning up the kitchen, but before I do that, I just thought I would give an update on how my sourdough bread turned out and the orange slices that I made, how they turned out as well. So I forgot to get parchment paper for my sourdough loaf, and so I ended up having to basically pry it off of the bottom of my Dutch oven. So that wasn't the most fun thing ever. I actually got it out okay and mostly in one piece. What had happened is I scored the middle of the loaf before I baked it, and so it kind of ended up with this deep incision that split the loaf in half pretty much. And so I was able to get the loaf out, but it split apart in the process. So at least I got it out though, and it tasted pretty good. It tasted like normal. It just stuck to the bottom because I forgot to get parchment paper. So yeah, that was on me, but still turned out very good. I got this recipe off of Pinterest. It is not one of my own. Even though I have some sourdough recipes on my blog, I am not the best at making bread yet, or like coming up with my own recipes for bread, I guess. I have come up with a couple bread recipes, or at least one that I can think of off the top of my head for the lady that I sometimes create recipes for. So I've done one for her, and I've done a focaccia bread for my own blog, but I've never done just your regular typical sourdough bread loaf. So I always like to use people's recipes off of Pinterest. This time I used a recipe from the blog Feathered Nester. So yeah, I like that recipe. It's very simple. You can do your loaf in like a day pretty much. So that's really handy. And then the orange slices, I was trying to create my own recipe for my own blog, and they turned out okay. I probably could have done a couple things better. I was basically going into it not really knowing what to expect because I'm not too familiar with making candied orange slices or anything like that. So I boiled the orange slices twice in sugar water and then drained them and put them in an ice bath. After that, I let them sit out for a while, but I realized they were still a bit moist, and so I put them in the oven at 200 for I want to say like 4 or 5 hours. And during that time, I would flip them every half hour. So I would open up the oven and I would flip all the orange slices and then rotate both of the trays. So the tray that was on the bottom, I would move to the top, and the top tray, I would move to the bottom. So every time I'd flip and rotate everything around, I managed to get them to where they were mostly dried out. Some of them were even a little too dried out, so I had that problem. And then I dipped them in chocolate today. So I had this dark chocolate and I had a milk chocolate. And so I first dipped them in the dark chocolate, and I didn't really like how they turned out in the dark chocolate just because the oranges weren't very sweet to begin with, and so the dark chocolate needed to be paired with something a little sweeter. These oranges just weren't sweet enough, so you kind of had this bitter taste on top of this almost slightly sweet but not really bland orange taste, and to me it just didn't taste very good. So I dipped the other half in the milk chocolate, and I actually thought that that turned out really nicely. And so I sprinkled some sprinkles on some of the slices, some crushed up pistachios on some of the slices, and some flaky sea salt on some of the other ones. And so I think that having those extra toppings really put a special touch on the orange slices. I think that they make such a wonderful gift for a very inexpensive cost for the holiday season, and they are easy to make. They look really elegant and gourmet, expensive treats when really you can just do them in the comfort of your own home. So anyway, I'll keep you all posted as to whether or not or when I get these chocolate covered orange slices and a recipe put up on my blog, but that's kind of where I'm at right now and what I'm working on. So I think I'm going to put the kitchen away, finish doing some of the dishes, and go to bed because it is late. Hi, so I am here at my grandma's house. We are just going to do a little visit, and then once my sister gets out with school, I think we're going to hang out with her. I just wanted to kind of get out of the house for a while. Yesterday we were home all day, and it kind of, I don't know, made me have a little bit of cabin fever, I guess you could say. So yeah, I decided to come visit my grandma today, and maybe we'll, I don't know, go out for coffee or something later, me and my sister. There's not really much to do around here. Where I live is very rural, so really the only things that we can do are go to Walmart, maybe go to McDonald's or go to Culver's, go to a coffee shop, or go thrifting. So that's really all we have, and it's kind of chilly today, so not really ideal for taking a walk, especially with 2 little girls. So yeah, we'll see what happens, but that's kind of where I'm at today. So
In your own life, wherever you are, remember that these virtues of faith, service, and humility are the true marks of biblical femininity. The roles we fill every day, whether in motherhood, homemaking, or even as women of faith, are paths to holiness. And we walk these paths not alone, but with the Theotokos, Saint Lydia, and so many other women before us guiding the way. May we each find joy and strength in these examples, knowing that in Christ, our femininity is both a gift and a calling. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Please be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you again next week.